We've had reports of RAF Typhoons and our supporting tanker aircraft over the Kingdom of Jordan. That might well chime with what we're hearing from the Prime Minister there. That is a key UK government, UK ally, and we know that missiles have been flying over Jordanian airspace, heading towards targets where there are US military installations and, of course, to Israel as well. So Keir Starmer also, in that address, calls on Iran to refrain from further strikes and cease what he says is the appalling violence and oppression against Iranian people. So it seems, so Keir Starmer has come off the fence now, that there is a definitive line from the British government. It's calling on Iran, not the United States, as some NATO allies like Spain in the form of Pedro Sanchez, their Prime Minister, did earlier when he called for the US to stop the strikes, saying that they were wrong. Here you have Sir Keir Starmer being very clear here. He is calling on Iran to immediately stop these retaliatory strikes and to get back around the negotiating table. The trouble with that, Dawn, is that, you know, the Iranians, they are past masters at prevarication, at obfuscation, at trying to pretend that there's momentum in a dialogue, in a session of talks, when absolutely there's not. The Americans have realised that. They've had enough, and this is why preemptively they've gone in there now, not just to end the nuclear ambitions of Iran, but clearly, as stated by the US President Donald Trump, they want to end the regime as a whole. Okay. They're calling on the people of Iran to rise up. The people of Iran can't do that at the moment because there are too many bombs and missiles going in from the United States and Israel. But when that stops, clearly the US administration wants the people of Iran to rise up.
What is interesting, Mark, in the Prime Minister's statement is the planes are part of a coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people, our interests and our values. He clarified the UK playing no role in the actual strikes. Now, we do know there are several bases in this area that we share with America, and several of those have been attacked. Do you think it's that that's pulled the UK into it more?
Well, yes, there's no doubt. And also the fact that allies are being targeted. You know, Jordan is a key ally. Israel is a key ally, although, you know, things have cooled off a bit between this Labour administration and Israel, but they are still regarded, of course, by the British government as a key ally. So it's in response to that. But let's be very clear here. The Iranian government see no distinction between British jets in the air taking part in defensive operations or British jets in the air defending allies. As far as they're concerned, Britain has joined the fight.
Right, OK, I think we can actually go to the Prime Minister's speech now. Let's have a look and a listen, shall we?
Earlier this morning, the United States and Israel struck targets in Iran. Iran has since launched indiscriminate strikes across the region. I know the British people and communities across our country will be deeply concerned about what this means for security and stability and for the fate of innocent people across the region, which for so many of us includes friends and family members. So whilst the situation is evolving very quickly, I want to set out our response. The United Kingdom played no role in these strikes, but we have long been clear the regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. They have murdered thousands of their own people, brutally crushed dissent, and sought to destabilise the region. Even in the United Kingdom, the Iranian regime poses a direct threat to dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, they have backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil. So it is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US. I condemn Iran's attacks today on partners across the region, many of which are not parties to this conflict. We extend our support and solidarity to them as part of our commitments to the security of our allies in the Middle East. We have a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we've recently strengthened. Our forces are active, and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations to protect our people, our interests, and our allies, as Britain has done before, in line with international law. We've stepped up protections for British bases and personnel to their highest level. We are also reaching out to UK nationals in the region and doing everything we can to support them. I've been speaking with leaders today from the E3 and across the region. It is vital that we prevent further escalation and return to a diplomatic process. We want to see peace and security and the protection of civilian life. Iran can end this now. They should refrain from further strikes, give up their weapons programs, and cease the appalling violence and repression against the Iranian people, who deserve the right to determine their own future in line with our long-standing position. This is the route to de-escalation and back to the negotiating table. Thank you.
OK, that was Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister, addressing the situation of Israel and America attacking Iran today. And he said that we have been involved in a defensive way, British planes in the air in a defensive way, but we have not taken part in the actual attacks. Mark White, that's the first real statement we've had from the Prime Minister addressing the nation there. What did we make of what we heard?
Well, and those British assets may be called into action any second now, because as we speak, another launch of missiles, including ballistic missiles, has been reported by the Israeli military as emanating from Iran, leaving Iranian airspace, heading towards Israel and indeed other nations in that area of the Middle East and the Gulf region. In fact, let's just listen. You can hear the sirens here. Into the early evening sky in central Tel Aviv, above the skyscrapers, looking at those now just wisps of clouds up there as these missiles, and indeed very concerningly ballistic missiles, are headed towards that Israeli centre of population and so many other Israeli centres of population throughout there. So Keir Starmer, Dawn, in what he told the nation in that speech, said, you know, that the UK would play its part in defending allies, Israel being one of those allies, Jordan, Gulf states, they're all allies of the UK. That's why we've bolstered our Typhoon combat jet force on RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus in recent months. They are there with tanker air support. able to go up into the skies throughout that region to play their part in trying to stop some of these missiles and drones reaching our allies such as Israel. So within the coming seconds, expect more strikes. We should just say as well, very concerningly, the Israeli government confirming a direct impact of a ballistic missile in central Israel just a little earlier. We're awaiting any sort of damage reports from that.